Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to DevDad. Today, we're going to dive into some interview prep, and I'm going to be doing some Leetcode challenges and walking you through how I get to the solutions. Let's get started. Okay, so the first problem we're going to be looking at today is 2634 on Leetcode's 30 Days of JavaScript Challenge. Feel free to walk along this with me, but I'm going to just explain how I would come to the solution for this to try and help you guys prep for interview challenges. Okay, so rule number one in an interview question. Read the entire question from start to finish, one time through before you start solving anything. So let's read this. It says, given an integer array and a filtering function, return a filtered array. The function takes one or two arguments, array at that index, that's the number from the array, and I, which is the index in the array. Filtered array should only contain the elements from the array for which the expression, function, array at that index, and the index evaluates to a truthy value. A truthy value is a value where Boolean value returns true. Please solve it without the built-in array.filter method. Second tip for the interview process. If there are ever examples, read the examples so you can see what a successful solution should look like for the problem. And sometimes it gives you, different cases where they pass different types of parameters and functions. So let's just check out what some of these look like. So for example 1, they're passing in an array that has 0, 10, 20, 30. The function is a function called greater than, and it takes a single parameter called n, and it's going to return true if n is greater than 10. So then we would know that our output is going to be 20 and 30 because those are the only two numbers in the array that would satisfy the conditions of this function. And the explanation is const new array equals filter the array that we just passed in with the function, which is this. And then we should get 20 and 30 as our output. Okay, so let's get started. As it said in the description up here, we can't use the array.filter method, but we know what that's kind of doing, right? It's basically applying a function to the entire array and only returning us the instances where that's true. We need to do that. We just can't use filter to do it. So I'm going to use a for each, but you could use a for loop as well if you're more comfortable with that. But I'm going to just use a for each for this particular solution. The next step I like to use in the interview process is to start reading the problem again and trying to solve it one step at a time if I can, just as it's written, right? So like I'm going to read a sentence, see if there's anything I can solve. Read the next sentence, see if there's anything else I can solve. So the first sentence says, given an integer array and a filtering function, return a filtered array. So right here, this is already telling me what eventually I'm going to need to do. So let's start by just doing that. So let's say return filtered array. And we know that's going to be an array that we're going to have to initialize that variable. Okay, so now that we have our filter array and we know that that's what we're going to return, we need to populate it. We need to push things into it so that it has the answer that we're expecting. To do that, I know it says here, filtered array should only contain the elements from array for which the expression function evaluates to truthy. So I'm going to use array to drive our logic. So that's the array that is passed into this filter function. Let's use it to either set the length of our for loop or use it as a for each and know that we need to iterate over every index in that array. So let's start out by saying array.for each, open that up, start our return, and then we're going to pass in a parameter here, and we're just going to say current. And the second parameter index. That way we have access to both the current item of the array that we're looking at and its index. So the next thing we need to do is run this function on every array item that we're iterating over in this array.forEach loop. So let's call function current and index. And we're going to say if that evaluates to true, then we want to push it to our final result array. So we'll say filtered array.push, and we need the current one that we're on. And let's run this. Test cases are going over here. And there we go. We passed all our instances. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll have more of these coming in this series. Thanks for stopping by. Peace.